Warcraft 2 action that you guys are looking for. To the bottom left hand side, our purple Zerg player from Romandy Gaming in this French showdown in the quarterfinals. This is Denver. And these quarterfinals are still just best of 3 guys, not best of 5s or anything along those lines. As we do have to the top right hand side, our red Protoss player from Cascade. This is DnS. So, it's a PvZ for our first matchup of the day, a matchup which can have a lot of potential to really go the distance PvZ, and especially when DnS is playing it, and we saw a lot of that during the group stages. We saw him time and time again throwing himself towards these engagements, which then, you know, went okay for him, and they were good enough so that he could basically just start up the Stargate, start up the Fleet Beacon, and get ready to go in towards the carrier production. And a lot of the time for DnS, his win condition was, hey, I got carriers, now I win because I've been keeping you so busy and under threat with the engagements. It's really, you know, I've been keeping you so busy with these engagements that it's given me the opportunity to get up to carriers, and you haven't had that opportunity to get up into a response to carriers. So we'll see how Denver maybe tries to deal with that here today. I mean, DnS hasn't looked unbeatable, right? You know, Nurture, I believe, did take him down in their series back in that group stage, so he's definitely looked beatable in the PvZ, and he definitely didn't have a great time in the WCS Challenger qualifiers, where he went 0-2 against Bly, 0-2 against Starbuck, before in the end he finally did come through and win his final series against Namshar to eventually qualify. So DnS has definitely had weaknesses, but in general I'd say he's a strong, sturdy macro player that can definitely go the distance and take us into some longer games here, as we do have just this probe coming across the map to see what's up. I mean, it's already been across the map to see what's up, my apologies for that, but he has picked up that general information of 3 bases. The Adept confirming that right now as well. The second Adept coming over, looking to maybe get some damage done initially before the Stargate comes into play. And there's going to be that typical Phoenix first out of the Stargate. We've been seeing this more and more lately. In all honesty, I mean, we've been seeing the Phoenix first coming out all of the time. Again, just allows you to push back this Overlord nice and quick, which means you can then throw down the Oracle. And, you know, obviously he's going to see the Oracle, but you can then throw down the Twilight Council, the Robo Facility, and you can get set up in towards something along the lines of the Templar Archives and the Charge to really start getting some damage done, to really start getting yourself into the correct sort of situation. As we're going to be seeing these couple of Adepts coming up, they're going to be just joined by this one Adept that is already just at home that just popped out, and we're going to have a bit of a lag spike here, because what would the day be without a bit of a lag spike to start us off? So nice to get things held up a little bit right away, but Denver with a quick lag, hopefully he's okay.
Game paused.
And he is just going to be pausing here, which is obviously very much so expected. Hopefully we can get this resolved in just a couple of moments' time. So give him a moment or two to get this figured out, and we'll be back into this. And obviously, so far, just a very typical kind of opener between both of the players. When they say 20 seconds, I'm almost sure it's not been 20 seconds. We can recover the game if needed. We'll take just a couple of minutes, but we'll be a little bit fairer to the players, of course. Obviously, if they are lagging out for a good amount of time, they can't do stuff, then it is much fairer to recover than anything else. Let's very quickly just go and grab ourselves that recovery here on Blackpink, and we'll be right back into this one, guys. I'm in Denver inviting DnS and Simpson, our Russian caster, here today as well, and we're going to be getting this going again in just the next couple of moments, so hopefully not going to be too long, and we're going to be off and away. I mean, it's what, a 4-minute game, so it should be resumed in you know, within kind of a minute or so, so not too much of a delay, guys. But again, just fairest thing to do for the players. Can we hear microphone fuzz above the game sound? Hang on. I gotta listen to the stream again for a second, because I've been listening last night, I couldn't hear anything. Council, the Robo Facility, and you can get set up in towards something along the lines of the Templar. I don't hear anything. Alright, just 10 seconds before, right, we can do that. Let's do this. Alright, let's jump on in towards Blackpink then once again and get this resumed. Obviously, again, the resume from replay feature just allows you to resume exactly from where you left off or from any point before then. So we are going to be starting to see this setting up. And we will be just a few seconds before that lag spike came down, basically, is the current idea. So just a couple of moments, guys. We are on that loading screen right now, and we're going to be right back in. Maybe I'm just going crazy and I can't hear like the things, because I tried to do some testing last night and I just can't hear it well enough to be able to. I just can't hear it well enough to be able to actually know whenever I fixed it or not. It's so annoying. Anyways, if our players are ready, we can resume and we get ourselves into the game. Alright, so we are back and it is just exactly a few seconds before these links are coming across the map. So really not much has changed at all. We're going to be seeing the gateway just dropping down from DnS. You know, the Oracle is on the way out still, and it's exactly as we expected. As the Overlord goes down, he's now free to build up that Twilight Council, the Robo facility, and he will start to do that. Again, you know, the earlier you start setting this up, the better it can be in terms of your follow-up. It will mean that he won't go for a second Oracle, because a second Oracle is not going to be able to be afforded here while you're already investing into your Robo and a Twilight. Interesting, the Phoenix actually missed this Overlord here. It's one of the more obvious Overlord spots, but a lot of the time lately, a lot of players have been. It's really weird, because a lot of players have not been sending a second Overlord across the map because it just gets hunted down by a Phoenix anyways. But then, yeah, it's a little bit strange. It's a little bit strange. We do see this Oracle just coming over and the Queen coming through. It's a little bit strange that DnS, Denver did just send it over, which is maybe why DnS doesn't actually find it. It's kind of an amusing one. Like, it's like the meta play almost, as we are going to be seeing the Oracle continue to come out over towards the right-hand side of the map, and has already picked up a little bit of damage here, so that's not bad. And there is that Templar Archives. There is our Warp Prism to get in towards the Archon drops, maybe a few Zealot Warp Pins, although no charge just yet, as we continue to set on up. Creator vs Optimus did get started, guys, by the way, and there is actually a bit of a fight going on right now as Optimus has proxied himself a little bit of a something. There's DTs right now from Creator, and actually a scan from Optimus is taking forever to kill the DT because of the shield battery. And as that continues, Optimus is obviously completely all in with this, but he's going pretty well for him, I think, and he's going to unpower everything at the front. That's being shown on the picture-in-picture in case you're wondering what the hell I'm talking about. But it looks as though Optimus is going to have control of the low ground and the gateways. He's got siege tanks following up, so that attack's going very well for Optimus, guys. But we're going to keep focusing on this PvZ as we do see these Adepts, these Zealots, are fighting against a couple of these Zerglings, and they are continuing to drop on down at the moment. So some Lings dropping on down. And we are just waiting to see what happens as a third Nexus starts to come on up here as well. Third Nexus is coming up as we do see the Warp Prism is coming down towards the south side. And actually, just as a quick update, just to wrap you up on that previous game, Creator did actually just hold on. I think he was killing everything across the map with the DTs at the same time, which has brought him a victory in game number 1 of that series. Now we are just going to be seeing this Overlord taking another couple of shots here and there. Finally it gets lifted up and it's going to be dealt with as we do see this Phoenix is chasing down an Overseer. So Overseer getting chased away, and again, so far just little bits and pieces of damage being built up over the course of this game so far. So far, nothing out of the ordinary still. I mean, this is what we expect from DnS. A play which gets him set up in towards the mid-game, which is going to allow him to play a very standard game. You know, it's an opening which we've seen time and time again, and there's no real questions to be asked about it. As we do see a lot of roaches out from Denver. I mean, we haven't talked much about his side of things here, which maybe we should, because the Zerg side of things definitely isn't just the straight-up standard same thing, time and time again nowadays. He has gone for the heavy roach count, the roach speed, so he's going to get very aggressive here very early on. Running forwards though, I mean, the two Immortals get a good couple of shots off already. I'm a little bit concerned about the lack of shield batteries here to help defend, but it looks like with the Archons back at home with the Prism, it looks as though this is going to be completely fine, and that the roaches will not really want to commit too much further forwards. Now we see that kind of wave of pylons and cannons coming in to help defend. Well, let's see what these roaches can do. A few more showing up, another Immortal as well. DnS misses the lift up on his first Archon. So he does lose one of those, but the rest of the units are standing strong. The Oracle is here just to help with some damage over time. I mean, some damage is better than no damage, right? And, you know, it sounds a little bit silly, but he actually does get a little bit done. And now he turns it off to keep the energy rolling, though. I mean, the Revelation might be more useful later on, especially if there was something like a tunneling clause coming through, and all of that. But as it stands, I mean, just seeing these roaches heading home, the Oracle can keep track, and that's obviously a big benefit for him as well, as it stands. Just going to be seeing one roach from Denver moving out in towards the center. Storm is on the way up here from DnS, and we are going to be seeing the +2 weapon attack upgrade. I mean, again, when I say standard, this is what it looks like. The High Templars with the Storm are obviously going to make quite the difference, and, well, obviously Denver realizes he can't just stick on roaches and hydras for the entirety of this game, and so that's why the Lurker Den is coming down. A couple of spine crawlers here and there. It's kind of weird, like, you know, we're seeing like a couple spines, literally one spine in each mineral line. It's good against a couple of adepts, but against a, you know, a wave of zealots, I don't even know how long a spine crawler can hold on for if it's just one of them. I mean, I guess it buys you a little bit of time to get some other units into position, ready to respond. Is it really going to save the, you know, the baseline? So no. But buy yourself that kind of 5 seconds of the zealots attacking that instead of drones. It can be the time you need to respond, to pull away, and to start getting some units into location. So it's definitely all you know, things to keep in mind here as we're going to be seeing some shield batteries continue to drop on down right now from DnS. We talked about the defense on this third base, and he's obviously taking it very seriously as he continues to set up multiple cannons, the shield batteries as well. And he wants to focus a little bit more towards pushing onto the fourth, because these roaches are currently denying that. And that's something he doesn't want to have continue, but he loses one High Templar, loses two, doesn't drop a Storm just yet. DnS, he's been a little bit slow to react to a couple of these attacks so far, honestly. You know, back over here, he was a little bit slow to lift up the warp, Archon into the Warp Prism. Just now, he was a little bit slow to pull those High Templar back, or to at least stall them before they got taken down. And it's little attacks like that, or little mistakes like that, that definitely will give Denver the edges to just make those engagements later in the game so much more powerful. Zealots arriving in the mineral line, they will actually go after drones here rather than hunting down the spine, which means he's going to get himself 7 workers or so for this attack, which is not bad at all, because he's also taking the opportunity to move on the map, and he catches the Dropper Lords. Nice idea, Denver. It's something which a lot of players like to try in the DVP nowadays, but it's just not quite going to work out for you, buddy. And he is going to get those pushed away. For now, obviously, he still has them on the map. He didn't lose them, but just having them already pushed back is a little bit of an issue, as we are going to be seeing roaches, hydras, and lurkers. Well, they now get themselves over to the right-hand side, and this is where the Dropper Lords will become very potent once again. If you have an attack over to the right-hand side and your opponent's distracted defending over in that direction, then suddenly you have Dropper Lords hitting the main base. That's when DnS needs to be ready to split up extremely efficiently. And if he isn't going to split up efficiently, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble, as these Zealots have to run away again. This pilot, it's actually a Warp Prism top left, just continue to warp these in, and he is starting to push forwards, but very soon he's going to have to recall something because there's drop in the main. I mean, we're talking about the Templar Archives going down, but the Twilight Council goes down as well. That's a long time you're not going to have a Templar Archives back up and running for. And obviously the Nexus alone is going to be a little bit of a threat to lose. So what does he go for? He does just recall in, and it looks as though he just recalled about half of his army to come and deal with this, including the High Templar, which means he has some of the Storms to just chase those Overlords back with. And he's pulling the rest of the army back. I love this. Look at this interception. Because now these Overlords are going to take some damage from Stalkers and Archons. And oh man, one of them is very low. The Storm will get another. And it is very successful defense from DnS. Yes, he lost some workers, but that's something you can definitely recover from when you're on the 4 bases as a Protoss player. So this has gone very well for him. He's definitely set himself up nicely. And, well, that was an expensive little drop from Denver, which really didn't gain too much. And now a single Void Ray will be enough to push those Overlords back and stop them from just hanging around over here. So that's going to be important, as we do see those units continue to gather together out into the center. Another Lurker will start to morph in now from Denver as well. Another couple of Lurkers just burrowing towards the front, and we are going to be seeing Roaches and Hydras. They're going to pull back on down towards the bottom right-hand side. 2 more Archons morphing in from DnS up here as well. High Templars continue to gather together, and the Rock's going to get busted down, giving DnS access through to the center of the map. Now Denver continues to go up the left-hand side, and we'll be just cleaning out one of the watchtowers, but it's actually the army here of DnS is ready to jump on this. The Lurker's obviously on pre-burrowed or anything, and so he's going to get one of the kills. The other Lurker running down the ramp is getting caught up, and another one as well. That's 3 Lurkers going down. That's a lot to lose already. I mean, Lurkers take a long time to morph in as well, so if you're already being pressured, it's very, very difficult to actually just suddenly commit in towards that next sort of stage. That's going to be very painful for Denver here, but DnS is not going to push forward, so he does have a bit of time to rebuild lurkers if he wants. He's getting that Great Aspire up, which is going to be the next stage of his game. While DnS, we talked about it at the start of this game, the carriers. He takes a couple of good fights, and instead of trying to press the issues, instead of trying to push in and take the win right here and now, he plays it slowly, he plays it carefully, because he knows that if he can get enough carriers up in this game, that will just straight up win the game for him. This Overlord over here drops a couple of lurkers, which is cute, or I should say that's a delightful play from Denver, because yesterday we got called out for using the word cute too much, so we're trying to use nice little different words. And that was a delightful little drop, but it didn't quite hit the marker, it didn't quite do what it needed to do. We're going to be seeing some Zealots and Cannons. You're going to be able to push those Roaches back up towards the top side of the map. Meanwhile, more Zealots, Immortals, and Archons are gathering themselves up to push down into the south side and to try and get a little bit more done. Well, this 5th base is just evacuated, so Denver doesn't even think he can hold on to this right now. It's that sort of stage of the game where he's probably like, if I get Broodlords up and then I take a fight, this is going to be so much better for me. So, for now, I'll give up this base because I know that as soon as these Broodlords are morphed, I'm going to be able to re-expand here. In that delay of about a minute and a half or so, it's worth it to not lose too much of my army and to just maybe straight up lose the game. So, it's a small play by Denver, it's a very mature play where he makes that decision, he gives something up, knowing that in a few moments' time, his game will go a lot better for him. And of course, in a moment, DnS is going to know about these Broodlords. He's going to see them for the first time right now as these Broodlings start moving in. A couple of good storms on the Hydralisks at least. Broodlings again starting to drop on down, and maybe they catch a couple of these units, but for the most part, these units are backing away. And oh, the High Templar of all units stick around for a moment. That's not pretty, as the carriers are cleaning out these lurkers that try to come around the top side, and that were unsuccessful in really achieving much at all. So all of these units continuing up the right-hand side. A couple of Corruptors were chasing ahead of the rest, and so he turned around to try and grab those. 11 more Corruptors being built. Obviously, Denver, the lurker run by, even if it didn't deal damage, it has given him information. It's told him that the carriers are here, and that means that now he has to start responding to it, hence the extra Corruptors. So he's starting to set up with that. I love the War Prism with a couple of Immortals, and it's so powerful. Not only is it able to do so much damage to a mineral line, to a hatchery itself, it can actually just be so difficult to clean up because 2 Immortals and War Prism Micro can take an absolute eternity to get rid of. So this is going to be really nice for DnS, and we'll see what else he can do with it. As we see, still moving around the center of the map, our Protoss player is coming in towards the upper left-hand side. Maybe looking to get aggressive on towards a couple of these lurkers again. War Prism is going to come behind this hatchery top left, and this is what I'm talking about. Suddenly you take down this base or so, and you're just going to be able to deny one of these bases for just a little while longer, and just working his way through that for now. One of these Immortals is slacking on the job, but even as the Hydras come in, for example, you'll see it here now. I mean, he kills himself a couple of Hydras, and he could have lifted up that first Immortal, but it looks as though he actually just wants to clean them up. Doesn't actually want the Immortals in the composition anymore, because he was totally controlling the Prism when the second Immortal died, and so it's very, very likely that this is one of those scenarios where, you know, he actually just wants to get rid of Immortals because instead building more carriers and Archons is going to be better than, you know, having Immortals against Corruptors and Broodlords. A lot more Broodlords still on the way in, by the way. He's morphing in a couple more now. That's 12 in total. 14 in total, because there's 2 off to the left-hand side. He's also got 18 more Corruptors on the way, and that's going to bring him up to a total of 36 Corruptors. No, all the Corruptors just popped out. God damn. I'm swapping the tabs at the wrong, the worst possible moments at the moment. That was a nice little duck on the mothership. A lot of storms coming down, though, and these carriers are going to keep moving forwards as the Broodlords are already very low, so they're going to take quite a little bit of a beating there. Well, these Corruptors are actually hungry for more, but obviously the storms are still around, and carriers will turn and fight that for just a moment or two. Immortals on the top left-hand side. This time they just walk on over there, and they do get the job done. If they could turn and kill that lurker, that would be absolutely amazing. I mean, talk about absolute value after killing yourself a hatchery. Lurkers with adaptive talents, they burrow so quickly though. Just coming forward is going to target down a couple more drones, just maximize what he gets out of these last couple of units. And again, he's using that supply space for more carriers, and he's setting up in towards that dream army which we've talked so much about already. So our carriers to the top side with these Archons as well, and we are seeing the Broodlords are going to split themselves up into 2 separate groups. The Corruptors as well, probably having a similar idea sometime soon. Lurkers burrow, Hydras are here, Vipers will abduct a couple of these carriers forwards. Well, that's a nice little pick off of the Corruptors coming through. A feedback on a but obviously he doesn't kill it. Gets it low on health though, makes it very targetable by, you know, even just, not even targeted, but just hit by a storm would take that down at the moment. These Brutals are pushing in over here, and this is obviously the moment where you're going to have to start picking a fight. The storm gets rid of a few of these Corruptors that are low on health already, so that's already a good little something. Oh, the rest of the High Templar though are in trouble. The Brutalings are getting the job done. The Brutalings are able to get quite a lot done there, as you are going to be seeing these Brutals continue to take a lot of damage. Carriers are again absolutely destroyed by Corruptors, but as they turn back around, I mean, the Corruptor count is hurting as well. Another wave of Zealots on the ground? I wonder why he chooses Zealots. Because, I mean, there isn't that much on the ground. You'd think maybe a couple of Archons could get a lot more done. Maybe he just really wants somebody to try and save themselves here. Love the target fire. The Brutals actually targeted the Archon to be able to take that down there. Otherwise, he just wouldn't have gotten the job done. As these carriers continue to fight, and the carriers will win out this fight, I think, in the end. Look at that. The last few Corruptors just pop on the spot. And that is a cleanup by DnS. What a fight it was to get there, though. That was not easy by any stretch of the imagination. He fought for that tooth and nail until the very end, but he got it. He won that fight. Now Denver is in that little bit of trouble here. 19 minutes into the game. What does he do now? He's in this sort of spot where, you know, he's down heavily in supply. The dream army of the Protoss player is only getting stronger because the carriers are being rebuilt. Further upgrades are coming through. It's time for desperate measures, and I think that is what the Neural Parasite will be here. You know, if a couple of good Neurals go off, maybe it can turn the tide of a battle. Maybe you can grab some extra supply from, you know, in the form of a Protoss army, but it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy at all. As we see this entire army from DnS coming around at the top side of the map. You see a couple of Lurkers and Hydras to the south side. They are going to be taking quite a bit of damage, and you know, we're going to see one cannon again taken down. Second cannon gets taken down as well. A little bit of backwards and forwards here from our two players, and again, just this kind of small ground army of DnS that, or Denver, that still is around. He's just trying to get so much done with it, and you know, he will back away for a moment. Meanwhile, by the way, Optimus versus Creator. Optimus is actually pushing through. He opened this game for Proxy 2 racks, and 12 minutes later, he has just found himself victory to tie that series up 1-1 in the best of 3. Optimus is taking it to an ace match. A third game will be played out between those two in the Terran versus Protoss. More army of DnS coming through the center towards the upper side of the map yet again, as this aggression will continue. We are going to be seeing the Dark Shrine on the way down from DnS too, so getting the Dark Shrine up here. Another carrier is on the way out as well. I mean, we've obviously just been seeing carrier production endlessly, but I mean, you can understand why. It's just so powerful. And what did Denver need to deal with that better? Well, I really just felt like he kept being overly aggressive when he knew he needed to maybe fall back and rebuild a little bit. I would have liked to see the Infestors a little bit early in the game as well. Those Fungal Groves and Interceptors can get so much done in terms of starting to clean them out. You just need to be a little bit more cautious against carries. You need to approach the game much more slowly, rather than what Denver did, which is just like, hey, you know, I just had a fight. My Corruptors are half health. Let's go again. You know, little fights like this, picking up the mothership, little bits and pieces like that, is, you know, those are the sort of things you need to see here if you're going to take down a carrier-focused army. But that, again, was not the way that Denver approached the previous fights, and that's what's allowed DnS to get into such a strong position right now. As we've been saying, these units are now coming back through the top side, and they are just going to be seeing, well, Dark Shrine finishing up. It's just more harassment potential for DnS, who has a random carrier to the south side. Don't think this is meant to be here. The Zealots definitely are meant to be here, and as they get through those Zerglings, another few Zealots will charge onto the Hydras, and that's a really nice cleanup. I mean, we're talking about, what, 4 Zealots for a chunk of Hydras and Zerglings? It really is a very nice little pick-off here, as we're going to see these couple of Zealots cleaning up a drone on this very far south side of the map. We've seen these carriers continue to come forwards, and they will just take this watchtower for the moment. Mothership on the way up on the base here, and we are just going to be seeing again a few of these Zealots just jumping in towards the main base. So harassment continues right now from our Protoss player. The Zerg army isn't designed to deal with the harassment at the moment, and it's kind of annoying because these Zealot run-bys force more Hydras to be made. They force more Zerglings, and that's really going to be a little bit of a scare factor, because it means it's more supply that's not really designed to deal with carriers and all the rest of it. And yes, of course, I mean, it's some of the army that's being committed to by DnS as well. He has to invest some of his supply into these Zealots to make it work out. But of course, you have to look at it from the other side of things too, where while you have to commit that in, you can very quickly be like, okay, well now I just don't build zealots, I make another couple of units and we go for a fight, and you just have this chunk of hydras that aren't going to do anything until you get a chance to rebuild. Looks as though the Corruptors dove in once again, but looks as though nothing really happened other than the carriers getting one Corruptor kill. Again, you just can't really do it on your own. It's kind of crazy, because when you watch someone like, I was watching Cyril do this the other day, and you know, you can see Cyril run around. The way he micros his Corruptors is insane, because somehow he just designs it so he's suddenly picking off, you know, a carrier here, a carrier there, and it's almost disgusting to watch it happen. But it really is, you know, sometimes it's possible to pick off those carriers and to pull them apart, but right now that's not the case. There's too many carriers. You're not going to find them out on their own. There's going to be seeing these DTs are going to be able to pick off the entirety of this main base alongside these Zealots. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. There just isn't really a ground army to deal with that. If you have to bring Broodlords back to deal with this, then you're really in trouble, right? Because those Broodlords are so slow, and DnS just uses it as a chance to poke into the top left-hand side. And, you know, if we had to describe, you know, pick a way to describe how DnS is playing right now, it's just slowly chipping away at his opponent, right? You know, he takes down a base here, he takes down a base there, then he backs off, he makes sure he's remaxed again, and then he takes down a base over here again. You can just see that Denver is trying to jump in to grab a unit, to grab two. It just doesn't happen though, and he knows he's not going to be able to survive this. He's losing another base to the south as well to more Zealots. GG, DnS. Denver. What a series we picked for our first matchup of the day. Honestly, both the series ongoing so far have been pretty exciting. I mean, we're talking about Optimus 1-1 with Creator right now. They are in a third game, which currently 5 minutes in, it could be going either way. So, very exciting stuff. Let's get into game number 2. I mean, we talked about a long game from DnS, and he played a long game on Blackpink. If there's another map that there's going to be a long game on, it would be this one. Backwater, as he spawns to the top left-hand side. He's the Red Protoss player, DnS. And to the bottom right is going to be our purple Zerg player. This, from Roman Gaming, is Denver. So, obviously here on Backwater, this is the sort of map where you see a bit of a change up in builds, very simply because it's easier to be greedier. You know, you build up in towards 3 bases very quick, you have no real concern about it. Later on, taking your 4th Nexus, you just pop down a couple shield batteries and cannons, and you can hold most things. And it really allows you as the Protoss player, it really plays into DNS's playstyle, put it that way, because you are going to be able to sit back and defend so easily while building up to carriers. So going to be fun to see how this goes. We have a couple of worker sprays coming down from each of these players, the GG and the Easy Peasy. Fun to watch so far. Oh, it's cool to see a couple of those coming down, players having a little bit of fun as they play. Link speed will start up as expected. It is a hatch gas build. Denver not going overly greedy immediately on the build. I mean, for Zerg player, your build is relatively normal anyways when you take a fast third hatch. So he's just going to continue as he usually would, as we do see a second gateway from DnS. So this is a very fast Nexus from DnS. He's obviously looking to be expanding much faster, and he goes into a double gate behind this, which allows him to apply a lot of pressure with 2 Adepts at the same time. So by getting 2 Adepts at the same time, he's going to move across the map. And off the Nexus first, he's already got a very strong probe count, and this is only going to make the worker difference even more noticeable, because as 2 Adepts come across the map, he's going to be able to force a lot more Zerglings to come out. As he forces Zerglings, he gets into that position where less drones are being made, and he continues to take a lead because he's got 2 Nexus super early in this game, chrono boosting probe after probe after probe. Well, the Adepts don't move across the map just yet. They're actually looking to try and catch these Zerglings, which are going to be blocked here by this probe, which has a pylon coming down. So he's able to block this nice and quickly, and we are going to be seeing these couple of Adepts just shading after the Zerglings. So they'll be able to grab the kill on at least one of these. Depending on how the control goes, he'll get 2. And actually, one of them is still low. Obviously, another shade, and he should be able to win. Although, actually, that's a mistake from Denver. Didn't quite turn that Zergling around as he should have done. And he gets Ling speed now, but Adept shades are pretty fast, so it's still going to be a dead Ling if he gets the attack off, which he just gets in the last couple of moments. Well, we are going to be seeing these couple of Adepts continuing in towards the natural expansion, and I mean, right now, the Lings just died. There's a couple more on the way up, but even if you just trade these out for 3 or 4 drones, I mean, suddenly you're talking about, well, you know, a situation where you're still going to be 5-ish workers ahead. There's a nice catch by Denver, and there's a nice pull away in the drones, but still 2 workers going down. And obviously now having to build Spore Crawlers as well because of the threat of what might happen next, which is the Stargate. It's still going well for DnS. I mean, still a worker lead from here. You can see in the early game, he's been in control of this income graph. As the Oracle comes out right away as well, so he's going to look for even more damage, another couple of bits and pieces, as this Phoenix being chrono boosted out is going to come in and try and chase down this Overlord. And we do just have, as this Oracle heads in towards the main base, a quick little update on this Optimus game, by the way. Basically, he got overrun trying to set up a big 2-base attack, and he lost pretty much everything. So Creator takes the series 2-1, and Creator will go up against the winner of this series, this PvZ, in our first semi-final of the day. But we do have more quarterfinals to get through before that happens, so it'll be a little bit of a wait until that is the case. Alright, Oracle here again pushed away towards the third base. We do see the play though from Denver is the Nidus network off of the lair, so he's going to get aggressive. Now, in terms of scout, and DnS obviously hasn't seen any of this. He didn't even see the lair timing, although you can generally assume it's around 4 minutes here. He is going up to 4 extra gateways, so off of 6 gates, Templar Archives is ready. There's the possibility of, you know, having something up to defend this. Where does the Nidus come down? There's this one Overseer. I think you build it next to the, wait, where actually is it? Okay, it's on the high ground. I was going to say maybe near the robo facility. Oh, no way! DnS doesn't have vision of his ramp! Oh, no, DnS! He's got absolutely no idea that this is over. He's going to have to recall this almost immediately, I think. Nidus pops and DnS is going to be like, what? And oh my god, the Lings find themselves the Archons in the middle, but they fight the Zealots because Denver isn't paying attention. That could have been an Archon kill or two, and that would have been huge. Well, Lings and Queens into the main base. Those probes are just dead because he's just so out of position right now. Warpism has brought these units back, and Immortal is being chrono boosted. This is a Nidus all in without the Roach-Roaring. As you see, 21 workers already picked up. Here, the Warp Prism goes down. I mean, obviously that's a hell of a loss. Queens and Lings to fight against these Zealots, the Oracle as well. I mean, the Transfuse just comes down. Backing away down the ramp is obviously a nice little something. Adept being saved here by the shield battery. Oracle will go to the front to deal with those Zerglings. That's a nice little combination of movement of units. That's definitely the way to push those Zerglings back most efficiently. So, pushing the Lings back efficiently now. Queens are going to start going down. The Archon's still putting work in against these Zerglings. Zealots keep on charging up the ramps, and we are going to be seeing these Queens are pushed away. But boy, has damage been done. The main Nexus goes down. Cross play is reduced to just 1 base. And when you talk about damage needing to be done here by Denver, that's definitely the sort of damage which he needed to find. We're going to see this probe just drops down and pile onto the top side. And you know, just going to have this change and gets picked off as well. Another couple High Temple, another couple of Zealots warping in at the front. And the Hydralisk Den coming down on the natural expansion as well. The 4th base from Denver will also begin to build. As we continue to set up in towards this here, this Warp Prism is just a moment or two away from moving out in towards the center of the map. Does DnS just all in? Maybe he does. I mean, he's starting to move across the map here. The interesting thing is the Hydra Den only just finished from Denver. He only has money for a couple of Hydras, so this is basically pure Zergling for him. And he's not, obviously, he's not re-expanding, right? So DnS is all, you know, completely 100% all in. So many Queens though, and I think that's the biggest issue. Like, the Queens can actually get so much done here. These Zealots do have charge at the very least. He's going to set up a stasis wall to pull back in towards. What does DnS have the money for? Maybe a couple more High Temple, 1 more Archon in this fight. First few Hydras are on the way up, and this is going to be a surround in the next moment or two. High Templars are just going to get cancelled from warping in. The Zealots and the Archons, they have a lot of work to get done. He's going to warp in Zealots now instead, but the Zealots at the front are already falling a little bit too quickly, I feel. Or are they? This Immortal is actually doing a lot of work in the back. The Archons are sticking around for a very long time. Drones start to pull into this. There's a lot more Zerglings on the way, but the drone count is going to start dropping heavily as DnS's counterattack. No way. I really thought the Zealots were just going to melt so much faster than they did, and honestly, initially they felt like they were. The Warp Prism cannot lift up that Archon. It's a little bit low. It's going to go down. Micro at the end here is a little bit messy from DnS, but he has a couple of units left over. 6 more Hydras on the way out, but he's picking them off one at a time. And pickoffs like that, one at a time, that's exactly how he's going to win this fight. Now he's limited to only Zealot production. 1 Hydra in the back hits the Warp Prism. He cannot lose the Warp Prism. Losing the Warp Prism would be the end of this push because he wouldn't be able to reinforce any further. And right now he needs every reinforcement he can get. Warp Prism micros around, saves one of the Archons, loses another one. Is this over for DnS? This push was so close to making it work. It was so close to happening. Now we're going to be seeing another few Zealots, another Archon going to come into play. Obviously now the Hydra production stopped because he killed the Hydra Den. Denver is not in a position to rebuild Hydralisks here. Or the Hydralisk Den and then Hydralisk, right? Okay, Zelda going to charge on into this. That Archon is so low, he's going to have to be so careful with it. Bringing it forwards here now as the Zeldas get a little bit choked up. Another Archon in the back has to join the fight. It cannot stick around over here and fight against an Overlord. It needs to be here helping out against Hydras. Another few Zeldas to protect these last couple of Archons as we see another couple of Lings are on the way out, but I just don't think these Lings trade well enough against the rest of these units as DnS is doing absolutely everything he can to throw himself at this army. Another Archon is lost. There's gas again for another Archon to come into play. Another Queen goes down. I mean, now some of the drones are going down again, so the economy is once again in some trouble here. There's the next Archon coming into play, and I think that might be the breaking factor. Denver types out game, and DnS takes game number 2